So we all know that traveling can oftentimes be stressful. So this week's video, we're gonna give you our ultimate pre-trip checklist to make sure that your travel is not stressful at all. So this is the guide that we go over every single trip to make sure before we step onto that plane, we have everything that we need to make sure our trip is a success. So without further ado, let's cue the intro and get into the ultimate pre-trip checklist.
What's up YouTube? Trevy from the Adventure Buddies, the modern travel family, bringing you another video filled with tips, tricks, and inspiration to make sure you maximize your next family adventure, like we always do here at the Adventure Buddies.
So we're getting ready for an upcoming 2-week spring break down in Florida. We've got a 7-day cruise followed by 7 days in the Florida Keys. Make sure to hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of those adventures. But regardless of the trip, regardless of the length of time, we follow this pre-trip checklist every single time. And so in no particular order, we've broken this down into 5 particular areas that you need to make sure that you check off before you take off on your next flight. So the first thing on our checklist is making sure that we fully understand the airline in which we are flying with baggage policy. And so we typically only check a carry-on luggage with us the entire time. And so we want to make sure that we understand 2 main focal points. We want to understand the personal item allowance plus the carry-on allowance. And so we want to make sure that we know that each policy's items based on size, dimensions, weight, etc. can be accommodated for when we start our packing process. And so we understand that not every airline's baggage policy is exactly the same. And so making sure we check in with that airline, check in with any updates or changes they may have prior to the trip so we can adjust our packing accordingly. The second thing on our checklist is making sure that we pre-arrange our transportation ahead of time. So that's both to the airport and from the airport to our final destination. So we typically do this by booking ahead with Uber. And so not many people realize, but you can actually book ahead a few days prior with the Uber app. So we typically go in there a few days prior, schedule out our ride and the desired pickup time from our house to our airport. Not only does this cross one thing off our list, so one less thing we have to stress and worry about, but 2, you can sometimes get a better rate. So the third thing on our checklist is making sure that we check in to our flight as early as possible. Typically, this is about 24 hours in advance. Why? Well, that does 2 main reasons for us as a passenger. 1, this gives us the best opportunity to change or modify any of our seat selections before all the seats get assigned. 2nd, it does give us the opportunity to check and ensure that our TSA pre-check, so whether you're a TSA pre-check member or global entry member, actually gets assigned to your ticket. Unfortunately, we found that not every single time it gets assigned correctly, so being able to check in early allows us that additional 24 hours to call the airline and make sure that gets sorted out prior to the airport. So the 4th thing on our pre-trip travel checklist is making sure that you have everything in your itinerary. So we're talking about addresses, dates, times, confirmation numbers, etc. in one location. This is going to be a location that's going to be easy for you to access, but also easy for you to find everything in one location. Well, Matt, how do you do that? Well, we actually suggest you using an app called TripIt. If you want to learn that whole video, click the link above here. This is an app that is free to use and has so many additional benefits. You can put everything in one consolidated itinerary and it's going to link everything together, so one source of information, but you can also share this with other members inside your party, so super convenient to have all your information in one location. And then the 5th and final thing that we have on our pre-trip travel checklist, and this is something that we check off multiple times before actually getting in that Uber to go to the airport, is making sure that we have all the proper documentation we need to travel. So we're talking about passports, we're talking about driver's license, birth certificates if we need it for traveling with a little one, or maybe you need another type of license. For instance, you need your PADI scuba diving license, etc. So making sure that you have all your pertinent information on you prior to going to the airport. So there you guys have it, the 5 things that we have on our ultimate pre-trip checklist. Again, regardless of the type of vacation, the length of vacation, etc., these 5 things are guaranteed to make sure that your trip is a little less stressful than it needs to be. So I'm Matt from the Adventure Buddies, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving us that big thumbs up. Click that red subscribe button for more travel tips and adventures. And most importantly, remember, life's an adventure. Who are you going on it with?